Talk with Sean, everybody. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of speaking with the mini producer himself, Mr. J. Thank you so much for joining me today, Jay. I really appreciate you.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Honestly, really been looking forward to this and glad we were able to connect.
Today, everybody, we're going to be discussing living with chronic pain. Jay lives with chronic pain, so who better to tell the story about how it feels than him? Were you born with a disability?
Yes, so I was born with a physical disability, which is called Osteogenesis Imperfecta type 3. And then I also am hard of hearing, so I utilize hearing aids. And lastly, if that's not enough, anyway, and lastly, I am autistic as well. So I always call it a grab bag of disabilities because, take your pick. It's there.
I like that, a
So,
grab bag, right? Grab bags can be all right sometimes. Okay.
yes.
A grab bag. And I like what you said. I like how you specified I was born with a physical disability because I tell a lot of people when I speak to during the conversations, there is a difference. Just because someone is born with a
Yes,
physical disability does not mean that they have a mental disability. It does not mean that
correct, correct.
he or she is not just like me. Well, something could be wrong with me, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mental issues, but nevertheless, that does not mean that they what some people would call slow or have other mental developmental issues. Now,
Yes.
what did you say the name of the disability was?
It's a long one, but it's osteogenesis imperfecta type 3.
Type 3. So what is tell everybody what that means. Like give us some education on what that means.
Of course. So, OI, which you can say for short because the full name is super long, is a brittle bone disorder. It's a rare brittle bone disorder, specifically. So, and in my case, I'm unable to walk, so I utilize a power wheelchair full time, and I also break easily. So I've had like over 200 fractures, 20 something surgeries in my lifetime, and I also just deal with other issues like breathing issues, um, and things related, to this condition, and also teeth as well. Like for your teeth, you can have what's called dentiogenesis imperfecta, which I also have, which affects your teeth and can make them more brittle and just deal with issues in that. So, that's really what it is. And there are different types of OI. There's four main types. So the third one is the most severe after infancy because type 2 is typically those babies like don't survive past infancy. So that's why they say like type 3 is the most severe,
Right.
make it past infancy. And so for me, my dad was actually telling me, well, my parents were telling me that like they were told I wasn't gonna make it past 5, but here I am. So it's very interesting. OI can affect everyone differently depending on the type. There's mild types, which is 1 and 4, and then 2 and 3 is the most severe ones. And then there's other types after that, but the four are like the most popular ones that people
Right.
talk about.
Wow, wow. So your life expectancy was supposed to be up until 5 or less. Well, we know for sure that you were meant to be here.
Yes, yes. I'm really grateful for that.
Exactly. Oh, you're not going nowhere no time soon. It's meant you have things to
No.
do.
Yes, yes.
Now, I heard you mention your dad in particular, so I'm assuming that your parents were there and kept you up and knowing that you were meant to be here, that you're loved, and to always believe in yourself. Tell me about your parents and how they kept you um, knowing that nothing's different. The only difference is just a little physical disability.
Yeah, so both of my parents, have been really supportive in that regard because, they wanted me to just be, exist in the world, regardless of, whatever disability I had. Um, and I feel like that really actually helped me, you know what I mean? Because I feel like at a young age, I told myself like I don't want to be like a kid that doesn't talk to anyone and people see that I'm different. I'm like, man, I gotta pick one or the other, and there's only one that I
Right.
can control,
Yeah.
so so I have just always really been very talkative and outgoing, and which is ironic sometimes because with me being autistic too and social settings, the fact that I talk so much, not saying that if you're autistic, like everyone's different, but just again, if I told someone that I was autistic, like they might not believe it because I'm fairly like social and stuff like that. But I think that was just a learned thing because I didn't get diagnosed with autism until later. That's because of my stubbornness too. Like when you have a physical disability already, you kind of put a lot of other things on the back burner sometimes, right? So, you're like, oh, well, maybe like everyone deals with this. And then you kind of find out that everyone doesn't deal with certain things that you're dealing with. I was like, oh, okay, wait, this is an actual like thing. And that's helped me too. So like not only having a physical disability, but also navigating my autism diagnosis with my parents too, because they'll laugh and be like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Like they'll think about things and reflect on like how
Yeah,
I was as a kid and be like, oh wow. And I think a big reasoning for them not getting me diagnosed at that time either was because there was so much focus on my physical disability. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And the test that they used to do back in the day for autism, it's not as advanced as now. Like the different tests, like we know more about autism
of
than I
course.
feel like even then. So they might have done some basic testing that they do for kids, but I guess it didn't come up with too much or whatever. Or maybe they weren't paying attention. Maybe they're like, oh, this kid's already in a chair. Like,
Right, right,
what else are we? Yeah, what else are we
right,
worried
right,
about?
right.
I don't know. So my parents have been very supportive. And that's really helped me because, you know, and in some ways I was sheltered at the same time though, especially like socially. I didn't hang out with like a lot of kids outside of, my house or like, but when I was younger, I would go to like parties, like not parties, but I don't know,
At your
play
birthday parties.
whatever they call it back.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, birthday parties and stuff like that. But as I got older, I didn't really, and so just navigating through that, figuring out how to kind of just deal with those things and growing up as an adult, I feel like once I got to college, that was a turning point for my parents and I. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because that was like, okay, here's where your independence really starts. So
yeah,
I lived in a dorm for 4 years. My dad was a huge advocate for me, living in the dorms. My mom, I think, she was just a mom. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like she just felt however she felt, not in a bad way, just being
yeah.
a protective
I get it.
mom. I don't know, whatever. But my dad was like, nah, he's gonna be on campus. So
Yeah,
I lived on campus, and that was a really priceless experience. Because especially with having a physical disability specifically, and being able to live on campus, like people didn't expect that from me. So I was just really grateful to be able to have that experience. But yeah, my parents have been great, and it's just been a learning process the whole time. You're always learning something. And I think giving my parents grace at times too has been a big thing as well. Because I think when you're growing up, like you want to do so much, like you're like, yo, I want to do this and this, and sometimes you feel like you're being held back, in a way, because your brain is bigger and thoughts and
Yep,
desires are
yep,
bigger sometimes than, and so it can seem like people are trying to hold you down, but they're trying to look out for you in the best way they know how to. You
yep,
know what I mean? And so that's just been a really beautiful experience, is my parents and I just learning how to navigate certain
yeah.
things together and kind of being on the same page.
Now, I'm glad that you actually acknowledge that because I do believe that's true because they can only do things or could have done things from their perspective, what they felt was
Right.
and I get that you may have felt a little different, with some
Yeah.
things. As parents, and loving parents, we can sometimes be a little overprotective, whereas though you're like, I got this, I can do it. And then
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
saying, no, not yet. But I commend, first of all, your dad for being a strong man and staying in your
Yeah.
life, being a daddy. I really want to commend
Yeah.
him for that, and pushing
Yeah.
you to live the normal life as you should live. I love the fact
Yeah.
that you did get to stay on campus. And that is something,
Yeah.
to be proud of because like you said, not everything is made or designed for physically disabled.
Nope.
So I
No,
mean,
it's not. It's not.
a
Oh man,
challenge,
it
right?
is not. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now, when you were growing up, when you first, because kids don't really know anything, they're just children and just want to be happy-go-lucky
Right.
people. When you first realized that you were physically different than, say, those of your family or friends in school, did you ever feel less than, or did anybody ever make you feel less than? Was bullying play a part, or did you bully yourself or dumb down?
Mm-hmm. Well, man, I feel like I did both. Like, to be quite honest, I don't remember much of like my childhood, and that could be a combination of things. Like, I personally believe it's probably I've had so many surgeries, and different medications. I think like my memory, when I think your memory can be affected by taking a lot of medications. So I don't remember a lot of stuff like through my childhood. I only know it through other people's experiences, which
Right.
is sometimes frustrating, because if you don't know your own story, right, and other people are
Yeah.
narrating, it gets frustrating because you're like, well, are they telling the truth? Are they just telling
Right.
it from their perspective? But from what I remember, I really started more so having people say stuff when I got to high school. I don't remember as many things happening when I was younger, like elementary school or um anything really less than high school. People in high school were just ready to box. I don't know what was going on. Like, I
I
don't
don't
know
know
what
what
was
the
happening.
aggression.
I don't know where the aggression came from, but like, and so but it wasn't super common. Like, I think a lot of that has to do though with my personality. I've always been very outgoing, right? So people have naturally been drawn to my personality, which I think has been a protection. I think a lot of my bullying came within me, right? And that's something I've been having to work on because even now to this day, like um I think my self worth, like how I saw myself and how I felt like other people saw me, was my biggest hurdle to get through, right? So like even when it came to dating, didn't date. I mean, I'm in the first like real relationship that I've had right now, and like we're engaged, but like I didn't really date anybody, right? Because I didn't see myself as like
Yeah.
a partner that would be worthy to date someone, right? Like I just saw, like, oh man, people probably just think I'm a friend or they wouldn't see me as attractive. So that is something that I am happy, obviously, in my relationship now. It's just something that I do sometimes think about, like, I wonder if I would have given myself that chance, right, to like really put myself out there.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I definitely didn't see myself in the way that other people saw me, Um, and so that has been something I've just had to work on through loving myself and like going to therapy. Like I see a therapist, every
That's what's up.
every week. I don't know, whatever. No, twice a month. Sorry. And that's really helped me because you start to realize how many things are going on in your brain and
You
experiences
sure
that you
do.
had, and you're like, oh wow, like this is something else. So I definitely feel like I was my biggest bully for a while, and that's just something I've had to personally work through.
Right, but that's the good thing is, and that's the joy of life, is to acknowledge things
Yeah,
and then work on those things that we'd like to change. And the fact that says how strong you are, the fact that you acknowledged those issues within yourself and you're in therapy, working through those
yeah,
things so that you can live the best life that you are that you deserve to live, and to love yourself from your core on out. And so
thank you.
but I can imagine, like you said, no one else from your knowledge, because of the memory loss from the medication,
Yeah,
um no one else may have bullied you, but we can be our own worst critics, bullies, whatever, within our own self. And everybody else could
exactly,
be looking at the handsome face that I see before me, so, but you
exactly.
didn't feel that. So I'm glad that you are working on that, so that you can move forward. But I did hear you say he's already taken, ladies. He's taken now. So I mean, there's no need,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I finally got into my style now. See, that's it. It's a good time.
It's not
I finally got into my groove.
exactly. You done found your groove now. So when you say,
Yes.
I know you mentioned that you live with chronic pain daily. And I like
Yes.
the fact that you did speak about that because, again,
Yeah.
online people show the goodness. We show the
Good
good
things. Yeah.
but we all, whether it be mental pain or physical pain, we deal with it. And so I love
Yes.
that you're able to put yourself out there and say, hey, it's not all peaches and cream. I go through things, pain. So
Yes.
tell us some of the physical pain that you deal with on a daily basis that you push through.
So with my chronic pain, I mean, it's really all over just because, again, since I've had all the surgeries and breaks, I mean, it's just a natural thing that's gonna occur.
Okay.
Um, and so, for me, I'm stubborn. Like, I'm very stubborn. So I kind of just like, oh, I'll get past it. But you don't realize that your pain actually can also affect your mood, right?
Yep.
So like you can just be angry and you don't really understand why am I always upset or whatever, whatever emotion you're feeling. And a lot of that can be correlated to you dealing with pain, right? But
Yep.
you're not really focused on it. You're not realizing that this is actually manifesting into how you are, responding or reacting to things. And it actually helped me personally to be in a relationship because the way that I was raised, it wasn't to say don't acknowledge your pain, but I think for parents, kind of like what we said, when you only know what you know, there has to be a balance, right? Of like, of course, not having your kid feel like they are just super different and like you're a weirdo, but also making it okay for them to, if they are in pain or dealing with something, to like get it addressed. You know what I mean? So I do believe there has to be a balance, and it's really not a knock to my parents personally. I think this is just a common thing in general. Like if you have a kid that's disabled and you've never dealt with disability outside of that of your kid, like you're only gonna know what you know, right?
Yep.
So for me, I've been taught to push through it, and I feel like because I've been taught to push through stuff so much that I have like not given myself that grace and that room to actually get things addressed when there is things that can be taken care of. Because of course, like if I broke something or if I had a surgery, like I took medication, so that it wasn't like, oh, you can't take medication. Then
Right.
it was just I felt like, and I probably put that in pressure on me as well, but like I felt that pressure of like I got to be this strong, individual, and like this is just what I got to deal with. And so learning that, yes, this is something that is in my life experience, but there are things that you can do to help, with the pain, so you don't have to deal with it to the level that you deal with it every day. So that has been something for me that I have recently started doing. I just had my first pain management appointment uh like last week.
That's
Or last week, I don't even the time runs together. But I just had my first pain management appointment. And right now we're just figuring out a plan. I am trying something now. It's like a patch, but um I have had I actually had to figure out if that's gonna work too because of the side effects and stuff like that. Because I've only had it for 2 days, but I did ask them like, hey, are you supposed to have these kind of side effects? So we'll see.
right.
But it's all a learning process though, right?
Yeah.
Because I I again, I mean, dealing with chronic pain on a daily basis is tough. And the reason why I had even made that video is to talk about these things because one, I feel like a lot of men don't talk about those types of things anyway,
Right. Right.
right? Like they don't, because as a society we teach men especially to be strong and not show emotion and all this stuff, and then people wonder why like men are so sometimes so angry, because you don't have an outlet. You're keeping all this stuff pent up inside. So that's something that I didn't want to become one of those men. And because I saw that I was not becoming fully like that, but I just could see that if I continued not addressing what I knew that I've been dealing with on a daily basis, that it could turn into that. And I didn't want to push people away in my life that like I cared about. You know what I mean? So that's a big thing of why I made that video too, is to let other people in general, regardless of gender, like that it's okay to have these experiences and to get help. That's why I like to talk about like mental health,
Yeah,
the chronic pain and stuff like that, because I was actually seeing a lot of comments from other people that like they had these disabilities that they never talked about, probably wouldn't ever have talked about for that
absolutely.
video. And I was just really grateful that that video helped other people be able to share their stories and talk about their experience and
Oh,
make them feel comfortable and create that safe space,
there you
because that's
go.
what I look to do.
And that's such a strong thing because somebody has to put their self out there to say, hey, I'm going to be the first one to step up and say, you know what, I'm in pain, I
Hmm.
go through this is what's real. And then others follow, and then they come out of their closets and come out and say, you know what, I too am in pain, or I deal with this mental issue. So I think that, there are some leaders and their followers. And I'm glad that you did step up and put that out there for
Yep.
others. And I also like the fact that how you spoke about your emotions, being able to, being a man and being able to acknowledge those emotions, because I do agree with you that unfortunately men, have been taught throughout generations of past to, you got to be strong. If you can't cry, if you can't do this. Well, that's not true. In my opinion, I feel those men that can cry, that do express their
That's strong. That's strength, man. That's strength.
absolutely, that's your strength. I find the other way weak, to be able to
Yeah.
love your woman the way she deserves to be loved and show her that love and let her know, to be able to kiss your son and let your son know that you love him.
Yep.
Those are strong men to me. So I'm glad that you
Yep.
have acknowledged that and fixing that. So that's what's up. I commend you for that as well. And I want to go back a
Thank
little.
you.
How old are you?
I'm 27. I had to remember how old I was. I was 27. I'm turning 28
Go.
October 21st of this year.
So you're a Libra.
Yes.
The
I
best
will
sign.
always claim Libra. I don't care if they
Me
change
too.
the
Me too.
signs. I am claiming Libra.
Me
When's
too.
your birthday?
September 28th.
Hey, let's get it. Let's get it.
So
Let's
that's
get it.
right. We got a
That's
party
awesome.
coming, Us Libras, we gonna party.
Yes, yes,
So
yes,
I heard you mention your girlfriend and it's your first serious relationship. Tell me a
yes.
bit about her and what makes you all's connection so strong. Your fiance. I'm
So
sorry, not just
yeah,
a
she's my fiance now. I know. I'll be
respect
having. I
me.
have to remember that. Yeah, I gotta remember that because So with our relationship, the interesting thing is, so we have the same physical condition, which was not on purpose. That we like it just all happened in the
Wow.
universe because yeah, so we have the same physical condition. She's not
Okay.
autistic, but she has OI like me, same type. We had the same power chair, which is funny. Now because I saw her power chair and I was like, oh, this looks very sturdy, so I got myself the same power chair. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But in regards to our relationship, I had to navigate a lot because to be truthful, I didn't have intentions of being with someone who was like had the same thing as me. Like because I just always felt like people expected me to date someone who had the same thing. Like I was just like, oh, are you gonna date another little person, or are you gonna date someone who's in a chair? Like I felt like I wanted to have more options. Not that that was a bad option. It was just to me at that time. Like I just felt like people were trying to box me in
Yeah.
into the type of person that I had to date. However, the universe will show you
Ellie,
exactly.
it does-
Yeah, coming right back to you. Like, all right, you sure? So we were Facebook friends. Now, I don't know how we became Facebook friends, to be honest. It was probably just because, like, when you have the condition that we have, you probably just start to add people, like, oh, wow, this person has the same thing as me, and they got mutual friends. And then you add each other, and
Right.
then you don't talk to them, right? So, we were Facebook friends, and she came into my Instagram live one time with my late mentor. His name was Simon Illa, and he actually he passed away last year. We had the same condition too, me and Simon. And so she came into the live, right? And she just said, I don't even know what she said. She said, hello, whatever. And then I remembered that we were Facebook friends, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna message you on Facebook, and I'll give you my number or whatever. I was feeling bold that day because for anyone that knows me, like that would not be something that I would typically
Right.
do. So I messaged her my number, and then we talked every single day since that day that I had given her my number. And so we um we started talking, and then we started we got together a few months after. Yeah, we got together a few months after that of talking. And she had lived in Missouri. So I went to go fly out to see her for the first time a day after my birthday. So October 22nd I saw her, because I of course I spent time with my family my
Right.
birthday on the 21st. But when I got there, she had a birthday boy like pin thing. So I put that on there, and then she had got me a cake, a red velvet cake, and had balloons that her PCA, which a PCA is essentially someone that helps you with like any type of needs that you have or whatever. At that time she had a PCA, so her PCA helped set up stuff too. Well, no, actually that's not true. I think her PCA helped with like one thing, maybe the balloons. I don't even know. She might have did it himself. But I know that Pamela, my fiance, she did a bunch of stuff or everything. Anyway, so when we met, I was like, wow, it like threw me for a loop, because I wasn't expecting like, oh, okay, wow, I'm literally looking at someone who is a mirror of me essentially. Um, and she had a lot of the qualities that I wanted to have in a person. And so I remember talking to my therapist, the same therapist I see now, and I was like, this is crazy because this is the exact opposite of what I would have expected, but it's working out well. And so um we saw each other twice, as far as me going out there this year. And then in 2020, as we know, the pandemic kind of started, and so we had to figure out what to do in that regard. And so she came down here, and she ended up moving down here. So we got her stuff. My parents and we took a road trip to go get her, and we brought a lot of her stuff down here. And then we went to Missouri one more time because she's from Kansas City. We went to Kansas City one more time to get some like other last minute things as much as we could. And yeah, she's been down here ever since. So she's been here mm,
That's what's up.
for a good minute now. And it's really cool. Like I said, it showed me a lot of things, and it honestly helped too because when you're with someone who has a similar experience as you actually can learn a lot. And
Mhm.
so she's helped me. I mean, she's a big reason why I got my autism diagnosis, because she had worked with a lot of people with disabilities outside of herself, because that's what she likes to do. So she was like, "Yeah, have you have you ever checked this out?" And I was like,
Right.
no." And so I remember having the the appointment with the psychologist, sorry, whoever diagnosed you, a psychologist, psychiatrist, one of them, whoever has diagnosed you, right? And they're writing stuff down and things like that, and you could just tell that when she died, she was like, it was just like as if she couldn't believe that I'd never been diagnosed. And I was like, wow, like how obvious was this? You know what I mean? But anyway, but being in the relationship that I am now, I'm really grateful because it's taught me a lot about not only myself but just about the world, and looking at things in a different way and things like that. And so I'm definitely grateful for her because she's done a lot. She's been a great support system for me, for sure.
I love it. I love it. And I feel I'm pretty sure you're a great support system for her as well. It works both ways,
I try.
you
Yeah,
know,
I do
she
try.
moved away from everything she knew to come be with you.
Yeah,
Says a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's huge, honestly. So I don't take that for granted.
I'm glad I'm glad you don't because it does matter, to always, she did it on her own, but to acknowledge the fact that she did make
Yeah,
a moved to be with you because she loves you the same way you love her. It appears to me, just from, I don't know a lot, but just from seeing a couple of videos, that you all's energy match one another. And I love that. I
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
And I
Appreciate
think
it.
I think it's cool to, not that you searched out, like you said, for somebody that has the same physical disability as yourself, but I think it's
Yeah.
awesome to bring the two together because you can kind of relate more,
Yeah.
with some of the things, whereas though somebody that doesn't experience that, they'll be patient, of course. We all lose patience. They'll be patient, but I think it's nothing like really understanding what the
Exactly.
because I deal with it myself. And so
Yeah.
from that perspective, I can see that being a good thing. So now tell me, how did the mini producer become? Like when did you transform into mini producer?
Okay, so with mini producer,
What, by the way, hold
I
on, I'm
always
sorry. Let me cut you. I'm cutting you off on purpose. I'm sorry. You're vicious.
yes.
I love your beats. I think you are
Ah,
awesome.
thank you.
Oh man. Like I love it. I
Thank you.
checked you out and I'm gonna y'all go check him out. His beats are they
Thank you.
go ahead.
Thank you so much. So, with mini producer, it's interesting because I don't even remember like when I started using it. I'm sure it was just like, oh, I'm short, and that's just what I'm gonna combine together. So it makes sense because I am mini, I guess, in retrospect. So, it really works out. But I'm glad it stuck. And being mini producer has really just been a way to make light of a situation that I have very little control over, right? Like I can't control the fact that I have this disability, but I might as well have fun with it as much as possible. So, being mini producer has been great. And I'm just glad that people have enjoyed it. Like I've been putting out content since 2016, and I'm always evolving and growing and learning and making better beats. And even when I launched my website miniproducer.com, like that was a really pivotal moment for me because like, oh man, I have all my beats here on display for people to like purchase. And I would have people come to my dorm room when I was in college and like pay me in cash for beats and stuff like that. So that really told me like, oh man, I may have something here. And so there was just a lot. There's been a lot of great moments, and things just keep getting better in regards to my career. And it's really more so to also be a great representation for people with disabilities like myself, and show what can be possible, and just have people to be able to see me because I know everybody has a different experience. So for other people to see me experience life in a way that's just really awesome, it's just motivational to me. So that's a big thing as far as for mini producer, like also uh making sure to put that type of message out there, and just showing what's possible, and what can be done.
That's what's up. I love it. And you are doing that. So you
Thank
said
you.
that, you have a website and your beats are for sale, right?
Correct, correct.
What's up, man? Listen, please keep doing what you're doing because I know you already been told, but I'm just going to add to you already being told that you like I said before, your beats are awesome. And I do
Thank
listen.
you.
Man, please don't stop it because you are motivation for the next person. So when you have those moments of maybe getting down as, just life just happens to throw curveballs at us, you ever had one of those moments, please know to keep doing what you're doing because people are seeing you. As you already know,
Thank you.
but I'm just one more person to tell you, you know,
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
your fiance that's sticking there with you. Y'all always treat
Yeah.
right, respect one another, keep communication lines open, and it's for sure to be till death do us part for real.
Yes, definitely,
Now,
definitely.
before I let you go, tell everybody all of your information. Listen, y'all, when I say his beats are vicious, follow him. Okay.
Thank you.
And if you need some beats, he has them for purchase. So check everything out. Tell everybody all your information so they can find you.
Of course, you can find me mini producer on all platforms. So it's MiniProducer. And yeah, I mainly use like Instagram and Twitter, but you can find me wherever else. Oh, and mini producer beats on Facebook. It's kind of anyway, that's all another thing. But mini producer beats And yeah, my website is miniproducer.com. So that's miniproducer.com. And you can check out my beats and purchase them. And I look forward to working with new artists. I enjoy working with artists, companies, brands, whoever needs beats. I got you covered in different styles and things like that. So,
Oh
you can always
yeah,
reach out to me as well if you want something custom. If you,
I love it. I love it. And he is, just to put that out there, you all, I heard him say he works with all different types of styles. He does rap, rock and roll. I've heard it all. So I mean, yeah, when I say he's vicious, I was getting ready to curse, but I'm gonna refrain from doing so right now. You know, but
I
he's
love
vicious.
it.
All right.
Thank you.
Got one last question for you before I let you go.
Of course.
Will you promise to always spread peace and love in this world?
Oh, definitely.
All right.
Always gonna spread peace love because the world needs it. There's
Oh,
already too much other stuff going on,
telling
so
you.
gotta spread peace and
You're
love
right,
for
man.
sure.
And I do appreciate you. And I
Thank
thank
you
you
so